Lean does not mean less employees are needed. It's not what it means.
I know,
So we always explain, I don't like it when people capitalize the word in general, just because it's not an acronym. It's more about finding the efficiency in the flow. So finding 5 minutes or 5% of your day to just make better. What are you frustrated about? And what can we improve upon that? So it's not trying to get rid of people. It's trying to improve how you manage your time and manage your team's time than it is about getting rid of people.
Hello everybody, Gavin Coyle. I am the Gaffer back again, and I've got Kelley Huss with me today. Kelley is a lean expert and she works for a major leading construction company called JE Dunn. If you haven't heard about them, jedunn.com is the website. Fantastic construction company, very big. And in terms of lean, no better woman to give us a steer in regards to what we're doing right, wrong, or how we can improve your construction business in terms of practices, standards, models, and execution. If you're a small to medium enterprise business owner, which most of you guys are, all the more reason to stay tuned because you will pick up some good stuff here. Kelley is also podcast host of Rebuild the Construction Mindset, and she does some advisory for some universities in terms of certification programs. Kelley, great to have you on I'm The Gaffer podcast. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I am excited to be here and talk about what I call my passion and in a word of a cult, my lean cult and passion.
Okay. Well, why don't we get straight into the weeds, if you like, but why don't I throw a curveball at you, because we like doing that. What do you say to people that say that lean is only an excuse to remove labor from the market?
Oh, that's actually, we have that as a joke when we try and explain what lean is, because a lot of people capitalize the word and they assume it's an acronym, and we make that joke. Lean does not mean less employees are needed. It's not what it means.
I know.
So we always explain, I don't like it when people capitalize the word in general, just because it's not an acronym. It's more about finding the efficiency in the flow. So finding 5 minutes or 5% of your day to just make better. What are you frustrated about? And what can we improve upon that? So it's not trying to get rid of people. It's trying to improve how you manage your time and manage your team's time than it is about getting rid of people. So that's where I start. Then we got to show you how to do it. And that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But I suppose from my perspective, and you'll see the book in the background that I wrote, which is Workplace Safety on a Budget, which basically says this, again, preconception that safety costs money and it takes money off the bottom line is wrong. You can do safety on a budget and you can be a very efficient and safe company if you do it the right way. And there's a whole methodology and there's a whole principle that I have in terms of using your health and safety department to be not just your compliance department, but also your profit center. And hence the book, to try and sort of, well, here's the book. Forget about that conversation. But I did want to set out the stall with yourself immediately, because some people might turn off and go, oh, here's another excuse just to remove people. And it's, AI is another form of removing people. And lean is just, we had lean and now we have AI and lean. So we're definitely all going to lose our jobs. That is not the case.
No, I think down on the AI portion for a minute. I mean, I'm using AI just to help my own processes and find ways to improve my processes. I'm using it with teams to go, okay, let's help improve how we're talking about things, or rolling through process mapping situation, or just improve getting through a task that took you an hour. Now it takes you 30 minutes because it's helping you out. So I think it's changing that mindset, which is really what lean starts with. There are a lot of lean tools. That's where most companies start. They're like, okay, let's go do last planner system. Let's start doing that. They don't take advantage of the culture mindset that really needs to happen before you're rolling out those tools. Because then it just turns into a checklist and people don't use it to its full value. And I would say definitely your people out in the field start going, oh, you're just telling me to do more paperwork. I already know how to do this. I already know what's going on here. You have to change the mindset. And I think that's same thing with safety, all of that. It's a mindset shift that you have to look and expect something different when you walk out on a job site or on a project team. It's not just, let's just do more paperwork.
Yeah. Let's have a look at you, the person, in terms of how does one become a lean manager, and how does one, come out of college and go, I want to do lean for the rest of my life?
Well, I didn't even know the job existed at a college. So I've been in the industry officially 21 years, but my mom was a building inspector. So I've actually been in the industry since day one, since I've been born. So I've grown up around the situation, around the construction industry, and I decided I want to work in it. Thought architecture first, then went to construction management, really enjoyed the construction management route. So that's why I graduated in. I went through, did project engineering, project managing, took a step into scheduling for a while and jumped around. I've worked in three different markets: the Las Vegas market, Las Vegas, Nevada, San Francisco Bay Area, and then where I'm currently at in Denver, Colorado. And Denver is where I really found the passion behind lean. I had gotten involved with it prior to moving to the Denver area, and I started as a trade partner. So I was a project manager for a trade partner, specifically in the framing and drywall space. And they started doing lean about 2012, roughly, and started doing little things. Back to the tools. We were doing weekly work plans, part of the last planner system, and trying to just plan our work. What are we going to do next week? Get the superintendents and foremans to write down their plan and have the crews visually see it. But when I was in Denver, I worked on some behavioral health and healthcare jobs where lean has really grown and gotten probably the biggest push is in those markets. And I found that collaboration, that working space, that planning space to just be fun. And I didn't have that fun before. I'm not saying work sucked, but it just wasn't fun in that regard. And I didn't know what I was doing. They were like, let's do pull plans. Let's do this. Let's do that. I'm
Yeah.
like, sure, I'll figure it out. I was up to trying it because I liked the environment it created. And I would say some of those jobs, I have friends that I have built from there that I would trust and respect to work with from this day on and would give recommendations to anybody on. I can't say that for the first 10 years in the construction industry. I don't have that type of pull of acquaintances or colleagues that I did when I started working in those spaces.
Yeah.
And I just found passion in helping the teams get better. How can we plan our work better? How can we get paid faster? That was one of the things I always share is I figured out with the owner, the general contractor, and us, we figured out how to, as a trade, figure out how to get paid. I think we averaged for a year within 19 days of it being submitted to the owner, a trade partner getting paid in 19 days. That's a big deal. So that was just something, it's like, I got to do that stuff. And that was like, I want to do that more often. So I had a goal to be in a lean focused position, probably for about 9 years before today. And the position here at JE Dunn came to me about 3 years ago. And I just went, I don't like being a PM anymore. Wasn't the environment I like to work in. I wanted to do this. I wanted to help our teams find ways to be better at getting our work done, be more efficient. Stop living in that stagnant of, oh, it's just the same old thing. This is how construction's been for 50, 70 years. We don't need to improve. But we see other countries, other markets that are building better, faster. We don't have more guys coming to join the unions, to join the workforce. We have to figure out how to be better. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my mindset behind it. I want people to drive home and have 5% more like space in their brain to do whatever they do after work. If it's spend time with family, a hobby, whatever it is, I want that drive home, even if you're stuck in traffic for an hour doing it, to be somewhat better because you found a way to just better your life at work.
Very well said. I'm actually thinking as you're talking, Kelley, as well. Is it, if we wanted to simplify the model again, rather than calling it lean, it really is a business analytics approach. I see it possibly, rather than using the word lean, that you're sitting on the business from a data forensic analytical point of view and saying, okay, culture, process, standards, compliance, quality, safety, all these little touch points, where are we benchmarking ourselves against all of these and can we improve or where's the efficiencies of improvements in all these areas? That really is kind of like a business guru type scenario, isn't it? Really?
It is. I would say you're just looking at ways to improve, continuous improvement, which is one of the main principles in the lean construction world.
Yeah.
So you're looking at continuous improvement. I mean, we're looking at what's value, what's the best value, We want to look at continuous improving and doing it with respect for people. I mean, those are
Yeah.
those three main things that we want to be focusing on. There's 6 of the principles, but those 3 are those top ones. And so if we're looking at it across the operation, we're looking at what brings us value. Why are we having this meeting?
Yeah.
That's a great question. A lot of people complain about meetings. It's like, why are we having this meeting? If we
Yeah.
don't understand why, is it really bringing us the best value? Let's adjust the meeting. But I've
Yeah.
seen, and I've been in those meetings being in my previous life where we just have meetings to have meetings.
Yeah.
Or we do a lot of things because that's just the way the SOP's made or the standard has been at this company. It's like, well, no, if we can improve it, why don't we? And I think it's really looking at the company and your projects differently and just going, we can be better. And that's all it is. You don't even need to use the word. And sometimes I don't. I know that
Yeah.
the term has become negative for some people over the years because of how it's been pushed differently.
Hi guys, as you're enjoying this podcast, I just wanted to take a few seconds to let you know about my company, Coyle Group. We're not just another safety recruitment agency. We're your partners in building a safer future. With over 25 years of experience and more than 1 million hours of safety work completed, our mission is clear. Provide top-tier health and safety contractors tailored to the unique needs of your project. We also carry out on-site construction audits. From wind energy to power stations, utilities and engineering projects, our global reach and specialised expertise ensures your operations are not just compliant, but exemplary. For more information on how ensuring safety and sustainability of your products using our team of HSE contractors, visit coyle-group.com or click on the show notes or video description now. I've also put a booking link into the description for you to click and have a one-to-one conversation with me. Now, back to the podcast. Enjoy and see you soon.
In my experience, the only negativity that it's brought is because somebody either doesn't understand it fully themselves or there's a sense of ignorance around just not wanting to play the game in terms of, I know better. I'm interested to see, can you give us any anecdotal case studies of where you've made an improvement or an impact in your business in regards to your overall, out of everything you've done in Lean, what's the one thing that stands out for you?
Let's say a couple. I think going back to that process map and finding a way to improve payment to the trade partners.
Yeah.
Not every trade partner. I came back from a Lean Congress that the Lean Construction Institute puts on, and I heard about another company doing that. And I went back to the GC and the owner, and I said, let's do this. Let's figure out how we can get paid faster. And it was an integrated project delivery contract. So I did have more freedoms to have those conversations. So all the signing partner individuals were working around how can we get paid faster. And we just process mapped it. And the owner asked, well, why would it benefit me to pay you faster? And we walked through all of that. So I definitely had the people. That contract method really helped in that situation. So even I still talk to that owner. He no longer works there, but he works for university now. But I talk to him about it. We share that same story over and over again. So that would be my first one, is at least starting to ask the question, why can't we get paid faster? Let's figure that out and map it out and see if there's a better way to do it. Another one, when I was a project manager on a project, I came in and the project was already a financial drain, was negative, wasn't going to make money. We had a really bad relationship with the client specifically. Also, I came in, we're about 50% of the way through. The leadership team had readjusted who was on the project. So we had some new superintendents and new PM, but we still had all the same foremen. We had the same PE that was in there the first phase. And we got to manage this. We have to manage the loss that's happening, and we need to try and rebuild a relationship. We had about a year left on the project and sat down, refocused the budget, our production, and went heavy into specifically the weekly work plans of the last planner system. My mindset is you don't need the GC to do last planner system for it to be somewhat successful as a trade partner. There's parts of it that you can use. We're going to take the GC schedule. We're going to go, okay, what are we going to do next week? We can control our future for next week, and really worked with the foreman every week to make their plan. We had a simple line chart if we made money or lost money that week that we would show them every week. I was told in the beginning of my career, don't show the foreman the money. They don't understand it. It's like, just show it to them in a simpler way. We go, hey, we made $5,000 this week. What did we do this week that made us money? Let's continue doing that. Or we lost $3,000. What are we going to do next week to help ourselves? And by allowing, we brought leadmen and foremen and superintendents into this meeting on a weekly basis, having that conversation. We would review next week's, analyze next week's, go, what are we going to do next week? But we would say, what did we do this week? How well did we do it? And let's improve upon it. I think one time I had a foreman, I go, our production rate says we got to hang drywall at, I don't remember offhand, we'll go 500 square feet a day. He's like, we can't do that. This is an 80-foot tall wall. Okay, tell me how we can do it. I would need a scissor lift. We need to do this, this, and this. We put that in place. That next week, we beat production because of those things. So creating that space to give your foreman, to give them the chance to bring ideas up, respect them and their knowledge, because they're the ones that make us money. I don't make the company money. Guys putting product in place. So that has been probably my biggest success story. We didn't make more money. We brought money back up. We built a better relationship with the client. But what we did was manage the financial loss and then improve client relationship and team relationship.
Yeah. And well, reputation. You built back up the reputation and the trust and the currency of trust. Well done. And actually, as you were saying I was thinking really your PM experience came through there as well, didn't it? Really, in terms of you and your background as a project manager. And then I started thinking to myself, well, yeah, you couldn't just come out of college and create such a transformation of change in the way you've described it without having the experience of actually the technical know-how of how things are processed and how things are put together. Like, really lean needs to be a sort of a side shoot from either your primary degree of education and experience as an engineer or as a project manager or as an architect or as a technical specification awareness type person, if that's something to phrase, a phraseology of somebody that would, what I'm trying to understand is the persona of a lean manager. You know, what does excellence look like in that role?
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people ask even when they're applying for the positions that we have. So at JE Dunn, we've definitely grown our lean department since I've been here, which is awesome because that means more people are seeing that value and seeing that it's a benefit to have us out on our projects, that we can support not only projects, but departments all the way up to our C-suite kind of situation. So what we try to tell them is you've got to have slightly an entrepreneurial mindset. You've got to get out to the people. Don't wait for problems to come to you. You've got to get out to the field and you've got to be able to build the relationship. The relationship is the starting point. If you're just going to come in and go, here's what you're doing wrong and here's how to improve it, or, here's all the tools, go use them. That can sometimes come off in a negative way, or someone's like, okay, great. I don't know why this tool is important. So we really push that relationship side needs to be important. If we don't think you've got that relationship, that could be the deciding factor of if you're going to make it or not.
Yeah. I'm actually swaying towards maybe it doesn't matter whether you're a project manager, an architect, an engineer. It's probably where do you sit in regards to the organization in terms of front line, and maybe we can add the lean education to you because you're already a niche expert or a niche expert in your own right. And if Kelley can sprinkle a little dust of magic on top of you, in terms of lean, well then, the likes of the book and the likes of people that should, everyone should adopt it within their own sort of primary role within the business, as opposed to having, it probably put on the shoulders of one particular person.
I would agree. I mean, I think, I'm sure you've said it and heard it, but, safety is everyone's responsibility, right? Everybody walks out on the job site. It is everyone's responsibility. It's not just the safety person's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that's something we work on with lean is there is the managers, the lean specialists that on a day-to-day are helping, but the goal is that we build those champions and those leaders out on our projects and within our higher mid-level or larger leadership levels so that it's not just only us. If we've got more people who are champions behind the lean mindset and the lean tools, it's not just us, and it really helps build that culture change that we're looking for. So we try to practice that model of we will train you, we will help facilitate
Yeah.
meetings around some of those tools. The goal then is to have you facilitate that and we'll help you with that. And then it's around coaching over time. So you're great. We've trained you and you've been facilitating pull plans for a long time. I'm just coming in, I'm coaching, I'm providing feedback, I'm giving that third party perspective of, hey, maybe you should try this, or that was great. Liked how you did this. This was a really awesome way to do this. I've never seen someone do it this way. Or, hey, let's make adjustments because construction is busy. We are so busy on a day-to-day basis, and it is easy to jump back the same old ways that we do things. It's hard to make that change. So having the third party just come in and provide coaching here and there really does help people because they went, yeah, sometimes I forget. And I do too. We do it heavily within our group. We observe each other do a lot of our work because of those same reasons. It's easy to get stagnant. So we look at it that way. It's not that I am the one and only person and you have to listen 100% to me. No, I gotta build champions on a day-to-day in all of our offices, all of our projects.
So talk to me about a KPI, typical KPIs for a lean manager. Like, what does that look like in context of what we've been discussing?
So I'd say we got some specific stuff. We are looking at, I think the most easiest that I have recently gotten when I first came here was first just get the pull. If people are calling you and you're getting busier, that means you've seen some value. They've seen the value and they want you. So the more time you're spent out on projects, basically, that's going to be the first thing. You've usually seen that by your time card or something. That's an easy, like, okay, well, you spend more time out on projects than sitting in your cubicle. Cool.
Yeah.
But are you providing value? Is that next spot? So this is something I practice. I'm a big proponent for it. Capturing the small wins. This helps with our goal management with all of our lean people is when you hear somebody say, hey, that meeting was really awesome, or I think you facilitated that really great, or I'm really getting value. Watching somebody walk into a meeting and they've prepped really heavily because of what you've helped them do. Like keeping track of those little wins because it's not as tangible as when you're a PM, you see the financial elements, or superintendent, you see the schedule. So I'm a big proponent of like writing down those little things people say, or they say thank you, giving that kind of support or praise. Big thing there, because then use that as your goals to your manager, whoever it is. I say that to anybody, not even just lean, but there's some people who can take years to get bought in. So you got to keep track of that. We also look at different types of expectations of being on site. So we aren't just sitting in a cubicle all the time. We are expected to go on site, observe meetings, observe specific meetings around managing our schedule. So we will look at how often are we doing that? And are we providing good input? And it's not just observe the meeting and walk out. You got to debrief and talk to the team about it. So we look at a lot of that information. And then the growth, going back to those champions. How many lean champions and lean leaders have we built in the region, in the market? Do we have more people bought in than we did a year ago? So a lot of that is pull from people. So it's keeping track of that. We are trying to find a way to metric to our operation excellence to show the feeling of lean ties well to the metrics of the company, the KPIs of the company. So we're working on that. It's very difficult. It's not easy, but it is something we're working on. We want to take that feeling and make it more tangible. But right now, it's building the following and getting out and having people want you. So we have a lot of like metrics around that. And I know that's super untangible, but it's the best way to do it right now.
It's very behavioral. Well, from what I listened to in your answer, it's very behavioral led, as in patterns of behavior led, as opposed to systematic, or process driven. It's more about, it sounds like as if it's more about the interaction of the individual and perceptions of individuals and how individuals extract information and how information is used. I think that's probably a challenge maybe is that right across the board, that from a lean perspective, that area of how do we, define KPIs more succinctly in terms of the overall, as you say, strategy for the company, and
Mhm.
so that we can get something that's sort of data driven. Is that a challenge across the board in lean?
Yeah, I would say just trying to prove behavioral change is probably, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely the hardest part of it. And I think going back to 1 month, you're like, they're doing great. And the next month, you go back out there and they're
yeah,
spinning out because that's the nature of a job site. I've been there. I know what it's
yeah,
like. Things can change daily. So finding those pockets of people that are willing to try and push that change and the resilience behind that is definitely hard. You can get tired, I would say, very quickly on going, I keep doing something, but it's not working. And you have to
yeah,
try and find a different way and learning how to communicate with the people
yeah,
differently to go, okay, what am I going to do differently out there? And how do I get them to buy in? What are they not understanding and really understanding what you can do differently. And so the behavior part is really hard.
yeah,
We've tried to, I think we spent almost over 2 years trying to figure out like a tracking method of how do you take that behavior? How do we take those tools and say, this job's doing well. This job has some improvements areas it needs to work on, or where like they've hit improvements in one area. Now let's jump them to the next. Like starting at a low area. How do we get them to that next area? How do we push them beyond just the normal beginner level lean stuff? So we are trying that, but it's really difficult. I think my manager brought up the joke. It's like we put something out there and it just opens another hole that we've found in looking at the metrics. We're like, oh, we didn't think about that before.
yeah,
So it is really difficult because now you're trying to put something tangible to conversations, to how people are interacting, how people are managing conversations with trade partners or their team members. And so even the specifics on how we measure have to be really, really dialed in, which we're learning about as we are trying to figure this out because
yeah,
the same measurement has to go across it nationwide. So I don't want someone over on the other side of the country assuming something different when they're going out to observe a meeting. So it's very difficult. And I think that's some of the difference when people think of lean manufacturing. We've got
yeah,
a lot more metrics and data driven there because you've got more equipment that is doing a lot of the work. Well, we're on
yeah,
the opposite end in that construction world. People are doing the
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Equipment doesn't do the work. And people come to work not 100% every day, and
yeah.
that's okay, but we have to adjust for it, and that could be very hard to deal with and track.
Hello, gaffers. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We love every one of the guests that we have, but in order to bring on more great guests, we'd love to build the channel with you. So hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and let's create a really great community where we bring in better and better guests for you to deliver great content and great pieces of information that you can take back into your business. Now, back to the podcast. Thank you.
I think if you spend too much time in the operational execution division of the company or segment of the company, I think that's probably where I see some of the lean getting lost or lost in translation, if you like, is that lean is absolutely wrapped up in the site works, when in fact the issue would have been probably in the design stage, the procurement stage, the pre-construction stage, and now we're in the shit. So we're all running around trying to solve this problem of a jumbo stud wall, in your words, of drywall, when we could have had a modular wall that was built off site and delivered, and we wouldn't be talking here today because it would have been done properly. I would probably, from my perspective, they're the kind of metrics I would be thinking as a business owner is, okay, how the hell do we get to the design element here to the point where we actually have to, think off the top of our heads here and use our trade experience to solve the issue on site when it should have been, modular stuff that was done off site or whatever it is. And then obviously on the other end of things, sorry to
You're
cut
good.
across you, but the actual handing over of the project is another segment that I left out of that flow of channel, if you like, that the lean kicks in there as well. And I think maybe if we are in the middle, it's probably, if we're focused too much in the middle, it's good for fact finding and for near misses and opportunities for improvement. But it's probably too late.
In some cases, yeah. I was going to say, we are seeing more and more projects and clients looking for lean earlier. And
Yeah.
we push for it too. because we just stay on the last planner system, that's about planning early, identifying constraints early so that when we get to the week before the work, we've probably removed a lot of the issues before we ever started that work. So
Yeah.
that's a real big part of the last planner system is getting ahead of that stuff. But a lot of times we're rushing. We don't want to slow down, pause, take a look. What is the plan we want to do? And I think that's really identifiable when you're talking about, like you brought up prefab. Usually there's a key moment within the planning stages that prefab works the best. And if you come in too late, it may end up being more expensive,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But if you design with it in mind and you're looking at it more in that maybe schematic or design development stages, you may, depending on which prefab element we're talking about. So we're looking at how do we bring those people in early? How does lean help design flow early? How can we make sure we're looking at the value, target costs, all of that stuff earlier instead of when it's time for construction, right? Because then it is too late. And so now we're leaving it up to the people out in the field to figure it out. And there's only so much that we can do out in the field on a day-to-day
Mm.
basis, right? You can't expect to, delay in pre-construction and then go, I will pick it up in construction. That usually doesn't work well because you're relying on a lot of people every single day to figure
Yeah.
it out. And that's where the management of it comes from. So yeah, we would love, day one, I think I got an email just last week on a job that we're, looking at pursuing. So it's like, let's go. I come in day one. Let's figure it out. And as soon as we get awarded, I'm making phone calls. When are we doing XYZ? How are we starting early to work on our planning and get the right people together and build trust?
Yeah.
Because that is another thing. We got new clients. How do we get a client, a design, an architect, an engineer, and a GC all to align very quickly on a plan going forward? So building that trust, what we call our high performing teams. How do we build that so we can figure it out sooner in
Mhm.
lieu of waiting for a year or however long it takes? So it's really key.
Yeah. Talk to me about forecasting in terms of market pricing of materials. And we all know global issue with regards to price of construction materials. How are you managing that from a lean perspective? Are you hedging on the likes of steel, ordering stuff, 48 months in advance, or like how do you put some manners on that subject?
I think a mixture of it ties into we use last planner system in design. So if we can, we're getting in what are those long lead items that we need to order sooner than later. Let's put it on that pull plan. Let's analyze what does that do if we don't get decisions early enough. So identifying them and then planning around them is a big thing. So that's where coming in early. I want the design team in the room, want our construction team in the room, client also, because they may have a major decision that they need to make. And
Mm.
hey, let's see, if we don't make the decision by this date, it's going to affect construction. So being really clear on that. I know our teams also use procurement logs to help manage that for some of the smaller things, but some of those big things that could take a year, I know there's a lot out there that's having that year push or has been for a while. We've got to put the red flag up. I know I have some jobs we use choosing by advantages and A3s to help kind of focus the decision. Here's the three options we have. Which one should we go ahead and move forward with based on the advantages of that option? And then using the A3 decision making to lock in. Here's why we're going to make this decision. Here's what it is, and get the owner signed off on it. And then we've got it
Mm.
all on one page. Hopefully we don't go back. So there's a couple different tools we can use, but getting everybody in the room to collaborate around that. I do have some teams that sometimes they just got to put the order in because we got awarded the job and they've just got to do it. And so it may be
Yeah.
more rushed. If we have more time, would love to do more of what I just talked about, but that would probably be the two options. We're either hurry up, just get an order in, or we're
Yeah.
at least sitting down and putting a plan together because we have a little bit more room to make that decision.
Yeah, and so I'm definitely seeing, like, when I look at your profile, like, wow, like healthcare, data centers, substation work, like Santa Rita Jail, critical operations project, airports, you're dealing with infrastructure and assets that are long lead time, I would imagine. Well, I know you don't turn around and ask someone for some switchgear next week or a transformer. You wouldn't You wouldn't by any chance happen to have a transformer sitting on your shelf that you could send over to us?
Right. There's so many of those just hanging out, especially with all the data centers getting built. They're just
Yeah.
waiting for you, right?
But I'm thinking that how do you have a forum with your supply chain? Like, how do you give me a steer as regards, or give the listeners and viewers a steer as regards, being collaborative. I think there's if you don't mind me saying so, kind of disconnect across the industry with regards to collaboration with all the interested parties. And they could be subcontractors who are niche in their own right and who kind of like, don't tell us what to do. We're the ninja crew to come in and does all the, specialist electrical work or whatever it is. I don't care who you are. If you don't get in here and talk to us in this room, this job's not going to get built. Like, there is ego driven services, and then there's kind of the people that are the blue collar that just get the work done and get on with it. Like, trying to max and mix that sort of cocktail. Give us some examples of how you try to get some sort of a manners on that subject.
Let's say going back to my previous experience, because I'm not fully involved in maybe the day-to-day that our PMs do and getting those things bought out. But I'd say in my previous life as a trade partner PM, it's really those relationships that you've built with those vendors. And as soon as you get like that letter of intent or anything, even maybe when you're bidding it, you're calling them going, hey, what's the lead time on this? You're putting it in that proposal and telling them, if I don't have a decision by this, here's the escalation costs, here's what this is. So you're having those strict conversations with your vendor and being able to bring that back to the GC. I know we've got a mechanical engineering department that's really tied in with very specific trades, and that kind of stuff is their bread and butter. So they're talking about that as early as possible with our projects, with our trade partners and our project teams, our general contractor team. So I would say that we probably rely on them because they have that expertise. They used to be, just like me, a trade partner, and they know what they're looking at. They know in the pursuit phase what's going to be an issue. So we're starting those conversations as early as possible. And again, I go back to, it's the relationship. You've got to start asking, what is it going to be? Here's the job. And I know it's not going to start construction for 2 years, but making that joke, some stuff is taking 2 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't start for 2 years, but when is it awarded? If it's not awarded by this time, you've got to have those conversations now. And you also brought up a point, the blue collar people that are out there really boots on the ground, getting it done, bringing them in. They are experts in their fields. And I know some people, some industries still say subcontractor. So why the word's being changed or has been changed to trade partner. They are a subject matter expert in a trade, and they should be a partner for us, not just the word sub automatically assumes in a negative way. So bringing them in, just like I said, bringing in the field, they've got the eyes on it every single day. If we're not taking advantage of the knowledge that they have, we are missing out and we're hurting ourselves. How many times are we making assumptions that we think is best for a trade or for a project? We don't realize that decision is hurting others because of it. So why are we doing that? Why do we keep just holding on to our own egos, our own control? And I say this as in I got my own issues around some of that. I don't like delegating work. I don't like sometimes handing things off. It's hard. I definitely agree with that. But it's an area that we need to go, do we have the right people in this room to make the right decision? Because if we're missing that subject matter expert, you've got a gap already.
Yeah. I love that you put me in my box in terms of using the word subcontractor. I actually, now that you say it, sub meaning below par, basically, you could say sub does mean below par, and they're not below par, and they're not beneath people, and they're not beneath a structure. And I love the fact that you've redesigned that as a trade partner as opposed to somebody that's underneath you. So well done. I think that's a takeaway from me, and that's definitely going to stick in my head for this podcast.
I was just saying, it goes back to one of the main lean construction principles, respect for people. And that's calling somebody a trade partner, I believe, shows more respect than the subcontractor. And I know some people will be like, oh, who cares? Whatever. That's just the term we use. But trade partner gives the perception of a partner. And so again, back to that middle one, respect for people, big one right in the middle for the 6 principles.
Yeah, and you're projecting that out, so you'll get the same respect back. You should anyway. We're coming to near the end of the podcast, Kelley, but I suppose I'll ask you a few curveball questions because that's what we do. Knowing what you know now, what would you do different in life, Kelley?
It took me about 10 years before I would say what I wanted, especially in my career. I thought I had to do and be who the industry needed me to be, who the people around me needed to be. And I would say that was probably my biggest thing. Once I learned to just say, this is what I want to be in a lean position, to just be myself, to be comfortable with being myself. I think it took me too long to figure that out in the industry. I wish I would have figured that out sooner. Just say what I want and be myself, because I have gotten more acceptance from the people around me because of that. And I think that's my biggest thing of what I would do different.
Okay. Probably a podcast in that subject alone when you think about it. No, seriously, I think
Probably.
Well, I don't know about your path or your journey, but like I definitely feel that people should have some sort of a coaching partner, mentor, guidance person that can be internal or external, just to bring people through. And again, back to your people approach and people first approach, if you like, that's another thing that probably we don't do enough of in construction, is just because you're working on the floor, maybe you're a labourer or working on a dumper or wherever it is, everybody should have some sort of a role model or some sort of a beacon that can sort of say, hey, why not be the best dumper driver there is? Or have you thought about going from a dumper driver to a crane driver, or whatever it is? Or what is your life options? And I definitely think the construction industry could learn a bit more on that. I know that at the tier 1 stages with the tier 1 companies, there is a lot of executive leadership programs and stuff like that. But what's the point in having executive leadership programs at the top end when we're trying to bring people through the channel, not go to the top of the funnel? Another podcast.
That could be, I would definitely, I could deep dive that one. I got all my opinions on that one, man. Agree completely. Let's just stay there.
A favorite book or movie? Up to you.
I'm not a big book person, but if I would recommend at least a lean book for anyone that's just interested to start, I believe it's everything I learned about lean, I learned in first grade. If you walk into an elementary school and see all the visual management, everything that's there, we all learned lean at a very young age. It's a great book. It's one that I was like, I'm sold. I will sell this to everybody. Highly recommend it if you just want to start somewhere in understanding your lean journey.
What's the name of the book?
Everything I learned about lean, I learned in first grade.
That's the name of the book?
That is the name of the book, yeah.
And is that on Amazon or something like that? Or is that like...
It is.
We'll get the link off you. We'll put it in the show notes. We'll definitely put it in the show notes.
Yes, everything I learned about lean, I learned in first grade. Try it right off Amazon. You can get on Audible, wherever you want.
Wow.
Definitely recommend it as a starting of your lean journey. I have a 6-year-old, and I agree completely to the book. And also, I read the book before I even had a kid, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so right. And then now I go into my daughter's school and everything is where it needs to be, the cleanest area. But guess what? Our job sites aren't like that. So it's like, why do we make assumptions that people just know, but we know what assumptions make. And so let's go backwards a little bit and let's just visually show where things need to be.
Kelley, I really enjoyed the conversation today. Brilliant. And thank you so much for giving us some of your expertise. That's such a small snapshot in 45 minutes, but it's such a big subject. We could go on for another hour. It is a lifelong journey, the lean journey. It's not something that you just go in and sort out today. It's something that from my experience, and you're the expert in it, but it's just something you take, you embrace, you promote, you encourage, you collaborate, you inform, you be curious. You ask the right questions. You ask any questions, whether they're right or wrong, but you ask questions, because ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure it all out. And not everybody, I don't think we have it all figured out. I think that's pretty much what we're saying here, is that we have all the innovations, we have all the tech, and we have all the great people, but we're all just kind of sort of putting it together with some, as tight a framework as we can. But with lean, we can kind of pull it and test it and kind of go, okay, what works and what could work better, really. And that's what I got from today's conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is. It's just starting the simplest way to start is what bugs you, what frustrates you. Could be the
Yeah.
littlest thing. That's the opening for continuous improvement. Because if it bugs you, do something about it. If you don't do anything about it, you're actually living in that stagnant world. So just try something different, do something different. Start with the little thing that bugs you, how you manage your day, how you set up your calendar, whatever it is. Start there. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be some big process improvement. It could be something small that really can improve your time, and then times it by how other many people do that same thing in your company. And you're saving money just right there. And you
Yeah.
untangible, hard to disprove it, but start there. That's all you got to do.
How do people contact you, Kelley, if they want to talk to you about lean, and what's the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Kelley Huss, Kelley and Huss. And I think that's the best way. Just message me on there and we can start the conversation from there. Either going from emails or phone calls, that would be the greatest place to start.
Brilliant. We will put that in the show notes. Kelley, have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us on I'm The Gaffer. It's been brilliant. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.